Welcome back to the Career and Life Show, everybody. I've got a very special guest this week, and Mr. Darren Prince. Darren is a sports and celebrity agent, CEO of the Prince Marketing Group. He has been in that business since, 1995, somewhere around there, where Magic Johnson was his first client. What interests me about Darren is how he got his start. He started selling baseball cards through a mail order company at the age of 14. So dude was out on the street pounding the pavement. We're going to be talking to him about those early successes. He sold that company for $1 million, and we're going to talk about what that was like. He had an opioid addiction, so we're going to talk about how he got to the top of success and how he started to lose things and how now he's been back on track, sober, very successful in life. He's mentoring people. He's speaking out. He's got some amazing celebrity agents and Magic Johnson, Dennis Rodman, Charlie Sheen. I mean, you name it. Everybody knows Darren. And I've known Darren for a while now. We connected on Facebook several years ago and went to one of his events a few years ago. Truly passionate individual. So we're going to dig in and find out what makes Darren Prince tick. So let's bring on Mr. Darren Prince.
Our world is changing faster and faster. Humans are constantly on the go. Over 70% of people are not happy in some way. They're living in the shadows of fear, especially in their careers and life. Are we humans doomed? I don't think so. And that's where I come in. My name is Joseph Stanley Rychalsy, otherwise known as JoeWoo. Each week, I seek to uncover what it takes to truly live your life to the fullest by finding out through interviewing people what were their failures and what did it take for them to reach success. Their stories are truly inspiring, and perhaps they'll inspire you to let go of your fear and live your career and life to the fullest.
All right, everybody. So my guest today, I don't think needs any introduction. Some of you might not know him, though, but as I said, the intro, Darren Prince, Prince Marketing Group, CEO and President. Thanks for joining me on the Career and Life Show, Darren.
Thanks for having me, man.
Appreciate it. So my first question for you, and I absolutely love this, is about baseball cards. So you're 14 years old, and you founded a mail order company basically to sell baseball cards. What was it like, and why did you get started in that?
Well, I was challenged by an intro to business teacher, Elliot Lovey. He's still a dear friend to this day. And when all my guy friends were getting out of cards because they weren't cool anymore, I had 3 different jobs: delivering pizza, working a stock room at a sneaker store, and squeezing orange juice. I would just take that money and buy their collections. And when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, for some reason, I always liked the older cards, and they wanted the newer players. I would pick the older ones they probably got from their uncles and their dads and their grandfathers because they were worth more money. And they would take Tony Gwynns, Wade Boggs, Don Mattingly, Ricky Henderson's, and I put together a pretty crazy collection. So after this teacher challenged us to go home and create a business, I sat down with my dad, and I was like, hey, I think I need insurance on my baseball cards. And I wish my dad was alive to tell this story, but it was amazing because I looked at you like you were nuts insurance. You're a 14-year-old kid. Right. And I said, about 8 or 9. And he's like, all right, well, I'll call the homeowner just in case there's ever a fire or a flood. I'll get you $1,000 worth of insurance. And I said, Dad, 8 or 9,000. And he looked at me like, how the heck did you get it in 9,000 in cards? So I ran upstairs, got the price guide, and he challenged me. He's like, where can he sell these, though? And I was like, it's funny you should ask, because there's a Holiday Inn right up the highway, and they have some baseball card show, and you can get a table for whatever it was, $25.
Yeah.
And a table and display your stuff. And Steve Simon, who ironically I go back with 41 years, who now runs my agency, Prince Marketing Group, we split the table. It might have been $15 each. I put 2 weeks of work into it every night after school, make sure everything was in the right holders, with proper pricing. And he spent maybe 3 hours because he went in just to have fun. And I went in to really create a business, and I made over $1,000 on that Sunday afternoon. And
wow.
As struggled in school with a so-called learning disability and severe ADD. The light bulb went on in my head and my dad's head. And by the time I was 16, I was making, $250,000 a year selling baseball cards to, a lot of Wall Street guys, and had a couple of the anchormen at ESPN that were buying from me, and business just blew up.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was the kid though in the '80s that was interested in the Ryan Sandberg, the Wade Boggs, and the Billy Ripken 1989 Fleer when I had the era.
It's funny that you said that. I made a fortune off of that one. It's in my book. I by accident, this complete accident, I can't say I took credit for it. I was at a show at the Tropicana called the 500.
Right. Oh. That's okay. You're good. No worries.
Well, you unplug that.
No worries. All good.
You're pre-taped. Yeah. So by accident, I was at this show, the 500 Run Club show. They had Aaron, Mantle, Mays, and it was a big baseball card convention. And my sister went to University of Maryland. So Billy Ripken was Cal Ripken's brother. It was a hot name. I bought 100 team sets just by, sheer luck for $5, thinking I'll flip them when I go down to Baltimore the next week and make a quick rand for $1,500. I also bought an unopened wax boxes because Fleer was pretty popular that year. Went back to my parents' house, went back to college, University of Bridgeport. Now, I was interviewed for my first time by a national newspaper at that show at 19 by Mel Antonin from USA Today. All my boys in my dorm wake me up on Monday morning going nuts. I'm on the front page of the USA Today talk. And so I read the article, but right above the article, I'll never forget it because I still have a copy, is a picture of the Billy Ripken card.
Yeah.
Ripken card marred by an obscenity. I must have made, I was selling the cards at one point for $1,000 a piece that week.
Wow.
Wall Street guys were buying them. And last August, a dear friend of mine who's as big as it gets in the booming card market, Jason Coons, told me to get back in as an investor. I put a ton of money into cards. And one of the first things I bought was I probably picked up 40 or 50 of those. PSA is the grading company now.
Yeah.
Gem and Tens. And everything's on fire in that industry. I got back in as an investor, and it's insane what's going on. So I'm having a great time. It's a hobby, but it's for profit, more long term. I don't have to be in a position where I was in, 30 years ago, where I need to sell it to turn the money. So I've got that luxury, but it's like a blast down memory lane. I'm having a great time with it.
Yeah, and I've started to see that pick up too. I got out of it, because of a lot of just the inserts, and when it got to Top Stadium Club, like, oh, now I got to buy these $4 or $5 packs. Like it just was crazy, and I just sort of lost interest. In the last 2 or 3 years, I started to get back into it. But those were fun those days in the '80s.
Prices on some of this stuff, man.
Oh, I know, it's unbelievable. Funny you mentioned the Billy Ripken. Now, the first pack I got at the show at the Holiday Inn in Chicago, 1989. The first Fleer pack I bought, it was in there. It was the second card in there. I screamed in the middle of the show. Everybody stopped. I got offered $1,000 for it, and I turned it down.
Wow.
I know. Amazing. And I'm like, yeah. But it was just one of those things where it's like, look at this. And I showed it around school, got in trouble, and it was great.
So great.
It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, did you get teased a lot, though? Because you kind of remind me like you, though. Like when I was younger, I was always in the baseball cards. I wasn't into girls, so I got teased a little bit. But did that, as you're growing your business, was there any teasing going on or anything like that when you were younger?
No, at that point I was making so much money, I think, I didn't really know who my real friends were, and I didn't care, because growing up with a learning disability and a feeling of less than and never feeling a part of, that's when eventually the girls started coming in and the drugs started coming into play.
Right. Yeah.
Started by accident, 14 at Sleepway.
Yeah. And then, so you basically,
I chased that feeling for years. And then when I got out of college, when I dropped out, forget it. It was game on. I made up for every woman that I had no interest in. And, right up to the time I was 40 years old. I was always living some imposter syndrome. I was trying to make up for feeling of less than on the inside, even with all the incredible external success, and Muhammad Ali and Magic Johnson and Joe Frazier and Rodman and Pamela Anderson, Chevy Chase, all these iconic figures as their agent. I just wanted the world to see that Darren Prince arrived, which is why I'm so passionate about recovery now and teaching kids, speak up at a young age. Don't do it the way that I did it, because I shouldn't be alive today to tell my story.
Right. Yeah, and that's an amazing, what you kind of went through with that. I mean, truly. I mean, I remember watching a couple of the videos and seeing it, and I'm so grateful that you've gone through it and you've had over at least 12 years sobriety now. So that's
Yep.
awesome. And, you can see it how that industry, and that's the biggest thing I always wondered though. Is it just because you need the significance, like as an actor, and you're missing it, or you're just looking for that? I guess is why everybody kind of goes through that, where you get struggle and. Because you went down, I guess, was the opioid addiction,
Yeah,
right?
it was opiates. I mean, I tell people too all the time that reach out for help. You're not addicted to the alcohol or the opiates or the heroin or the cocaine. You're addicted to the escape. You get addicted to escaping reality because you don't want to think or feel or deal and you have no coping mechanisms. And for me, I would say probably the last 14, 15 years were opiates, because when I signed Magic as my first client for Prince Marketing Group as his agent, I knew there was morality clauses. I'm like, all right, no more illegal drugs. I have an opportunity of a lifetime. But I had sciatica from working out. I was taking steroids on and off for years. So my body was a little bit beat up. And I mean, what doctor wouldn't give a guy like me everything I needed? So Percocets, Oxycontins, and Vicodins became my best friend. And I say when I speak all the time, for 6 or 7 years, man, it worked. It was a networking machine. But at some point, what was once living to use turned out to using to live. And I literally was in pure hell, suicidal, didn't want to live anymore, and I had no clue how to get out. And I had all the exterior stuff, but I lost the sense of self.
Yeah. Wow, that's something. But that must have been something now when you started Prince Marketing Group in 1995, then Magic was your first client. So what was that like? I mean, just kind of making that transition, like what was your reason to kind of get into, working with athletes and celebrities and things, and then just what was it like to get Magic as your first client?
When I got out of the sports collectible and the memorabilia business, I always wanted to negotiate bigger deals, and my dad pushed me to speak to Magic about being my first client, and I had a relationship with him and all the other celebrities from booking autograph signings for them. And my dad said, "It's life. It's about who you know, not what you know, and you don't need to go to law school for 8 years."
Right.
And had an opportunity with him a few weeks after in a hotel suite alone in Michigan the night before an event, the day of an event. And he invited me into his room. We just sat down. He asked me what my next move was. What am I working on? And I told him, and he's like, "Man, I love it, because you need yourself a big client, though, boy." Right. To start an agency called Prince Marketing Group. Who do you have in mind? And I paused for like 10 seconds now, and this is like, either I'm going to shit or get off the pot. And I must to say, I call him Irvin, but I'm like, Irvin, I really hope. And when he told me words I'll never forget, that he's going to give me 2 years to represent him. But if I don't use him to knock down every door before this 2 years are up, he's going to fire me, because life is about how successful not he can become, but how successful he can make me and other people around him. That's a domino effect. And that was it.
That is awesome. Something. So that was a big lesson.
Anderson with the next 3 clients.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's cool. So that must have been a big sort of lesson from him, is just, getting out there. Cause I would have been like, you're going to fire me or something, like what? Like that. Yeah. That's really cool.
It just lit a fire in my butt to just go out and drop his name as often as possible, because he understood that it was about diversification and ultimately that big picture long term is not just going to only help me become successful. So my focus is on making money instead of having to make it to pay bills. And a lot of those relationships, ironically, would go back and benefit him as well.
Absolutely. Wow. And, it's just amazing to see your business grow. I mean, my childhood heroes, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan. I mean, yeah, I know. Chevy Chase, Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get all those guys? And like, what were you nervous at all? Like, because to me, I'd be like shitting my pants. Like, oh my gosh, like, how do I go ask these guys? But you got Magic, so I mean, was there a method to your madness there to just ask?
I mean, I just think, like I said, it was usually once you get Magic, and then the others came so quick, And again, being high on opiates, it was easy. It took me a while. I did an interview this morning, and they asked, like, at what point did I feel comfortable, in recovery? And it took me a good year or two until I've been exposed nerve for so long after being high for 24 years that I eventually found my footing. And now I do it like second nature, man. I mean, I met with Oscar De La Hoya 4 months ago at his office in Golden Boy in LA, downtown LA. We got him as a client. I was with Shaquille O'Neal 3 weeks ago. For me, it's like talking to you. I mean, You know, when
Yeah.
you arrive internally,
Yeah.
and for somebody like me, that ego was crushed 12 and a half years ago. And
Yeah.
I know that I'm the best at what I do. I'm going to back it up. I
Right.
sit here and tell you we're going to be able to deliver on. Holly Saunders is a new client she'll type. Carmen Electra is on right now. She's never had an agency work
Right.
so hard. We don't sit back. I mean, that same work ethic that I have with that baseball card business that I have in recovery right now to push the message of inspiration to people to stay sober. I've just got a psychotic, relentless work ethic. And a lot of that came from, magic too, because we could
Right.
celebrate a multi-million-dollar deal. And it's always like, great job, boy, get up tomorrow, let's get us another one. So it's just knowing to celebrate, but then to evolve and challenge yourself. And, relationship building has been one thing I've been amazing at. And a lot of that's because of my dad. He taught me how important it was. Like, treat them like family, reach out for their birthday, their holidays, send gifts to their wives, and, just make it personal. And
Yeah.
I've really focused on those two things, and then the opportunities just come.
Yeah, that's exactly what my dad worked for Sears and was in corporate for a long time. That's one thing I remember him always telling me. Still this day, it's the same thing. Is like, treat the janitor like it's your best friend. Treat everybody equal, because you never know, you could be working for them one day. And that's amazing advice. And I know that's carried you definitely a long way.
Yeah.
Cool. So how do you handle these multiple personalities? Because obviously, celebrities are celebrities. They're awesome people. They're great. We love them. But sometimes you might have to reel them in. So how do you just handle that pressure? Because, there's a lot of demand. There's
Again,
a lot of stuff.
I think I'm a master at it. I've been doing it so long,
Yeah.
Dealing with Rodman over the years, and Charlie Sheen's a gem now. He's got his life in order. We were together last week. He's been sober 3.5 years. Rick obviously had his challenges. Hulk had his ups and downs with all the divorce craziness, but you just got to speak to them as friends and take the business side away from it. And then if business is being jeopardized by certain behavior or any legal issues, just got to tell them. I mean, I don't. I don't dance around things, because at the end of the day, I'm here, first and foremost to make you money. That's how we came together. And then right up there alongside is, I'm your friend. We're family, and we're in this together. And when things go great, I want you to shine. And I'm fine being behind the scenes. With something, I'll put myself right out in front of a situation that's a bulletproof vest to do damage control. Because, like I said, it's not an ego. When people use the word recuperate and all that stuff, I laugh, because they're the ones that accomplished all these extraordinary feats long before Darren Prince ever existed. I'm nobody's super. I'm just a hardworking, caring, kind guy that knows what my role is, and I know when it's time to step out in front. I know when it's time to stay behind it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And now I know you wrote the book Aiming High. What was that process like? Just really putting everything on paper, giving you flashbacks about everything, but just what did that do for you writing the book? Was it like a big release?
It was pretty healing. I did it as another level of assurance to my recovery. And there was never a doubt in my mind that it wasn't going to help, quite a few people around the world. I did hear my mother was hesitant about it at the time. It was after my dad passed away. Some of my colleagues were a little hesitant. I said, there's no issue to be hesitant. I own the agency. The biggest stars on the planet are more proud of my recovery than anything. We're not going to lose clients. We're not going to lose corporations. I'm like, if anything, watch what happens. It's going to make everything bigger. Not that I wrote the book for that, but I mean, the infrastructure of our corporate relationships that I've been able to develop, because I humanize myself. The minute it's an Amazon company or Apple or whoever it might be, and I get to sit in a room or get on a phone call with the CMO, and I always find an opening. I don't care. You might be calling us or reaching out, or we're calling you to reach out and talk about a campaign or a project. But once I get that personal relationship with somebody, I will always find an opening to talk about the big I like, because I know every single person I've ever spoken to knows somebody. Of the company in the world or whatever. Everybody's affected by this, and that's what's given me, that real self-worth in life. I've developed my self-esteem by doing esteemable acts. So I'm just obsessed with talking openly and candidly and honestly about what I've been through and how it came out the other side.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love watching your videos and your speeches and stuff. What's that like, getting on stage and talking to people about your experiences and and teaching them. That's gotta just, be great. And then to help
It's
people.
incredible. I was in South Carolina this week, and I started about 15 months ago before the pandemic, my Aiming High Foundation, and 7 speeches the year my book came out. And I noticed that there was so many people that the magic would come on in their eyes during the speech, and then after during the Q&A, and then during the book signing. And I was like, there's a bigger purpose to this. It's not just about me speaking. Like, I have an opportunity in that moment to get somebody into treatment. And Banning Treatment Center, I'm a rep for them. They have 14 properties in 5 different states. So they've been tremendous. But I wanted to have my own resources to, if I'm at a high school speaking to 3,000 kids and say, young man or young lady, if you come up here when we're done, I have such admiration for what you just said, but my foundation's the help that you need.
Yeah, that's wow.
So I went to Hogan Recovery in South Carolina Friday night. I spoke to 200 people, donated quite a bit of money, and I got 5 people into scholarship. And when I tell you, it wasn't the standing ovation when I was done speaking. I'm used to that.
Yeah.
That's God when it comes into my heart and soul. I work my ass off with speech coaches to get to where I'm at.
Right.
It's not an ego thing. It's that I know it's that impactful to people. And when those 5 individuals came over to me, most of them in tears, saying that they had sons, daughters, little kids, and one guy was dead on the side of the road a few weeks ago, and the prosecutor in Massachusetts couldn't get him into treatment. And the Boston, when he had a relationship with the one in South Carolina, and he basically was told he's either going to prison for 6 months or a treatment center, and he didn't have the resources. When they called Oaks, they said, "You've reached out to us at the perfect time. The Aiming High Foundation has just given us a grant. We can fly him in the morning and get him help." The greatest feeling in the world.
That's
Feeling
awesome.
in the world. Better than any drug, better than any business deal. I just can't even explain it to you. And the speaking's easy for me. I mean, I put the work in. I invested a lot of money into myself. I got the right coaches. I mean, they say speaking is one of the bigger public fears for people. I mean, you can put me in front of Wembley Stadium with 60,000 people. It's the opposite for me. I did a lot of NLP work and subconscious mindset work, and my office, my staff, my ex-fiance, anybody that's been around me, I shut it down for 15, 20 minutes by myself. I get into that deep place. I invite out of my understanding into my life, and it's about, hey, we got to get to one person right now with my message. I got to be in the moment. I have to be laser focused. I have to be in the moment and now. I mean, it's always all over the place, and I'm able to get myself into that state and just blow it out every time. It's magical. It's absolutely magical every time I speak.
I know. I love it.
Not in the audience, and these people don't even realize it, because I've done it up in Mount Vernon for 4,000 people on a Sunday morning, and they were all, "God bless your testimony." Oh my God, I don't realize what it does for me. It's just a whole nother layer of my recovery, knowing that I can't keep I have unless I give it away to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's all, and that's what I love about speaking too, is just getting out there. And like I remember when I first started, it was like, oh, let me get out there. I got to impact everybody. And I was like, no, like if I get 1 or 2 people and I know I can get them in, either to help them change or be a catalyst in some way, I'm like, then I feel great. And I'll never forget, I kind of did the same thing. I spoke at a high school, and I was like, these 2 kids came up to me and had no idea who I was like, look, you really gave me some really great stuff. And one kid was like, that was really moving, talking about your life and what you've done. I was like, wow. And I was like, this is really cool.
You don't even realize it sometimes, because probably like me, you have several different versions, and you're just so used to doing it, and you just get different reactions every time, and it's just mesmerizing. I have a speech tomorrow. I got another one next week. I got to fly to Boston, to Florida to speak at Banyan again. It is, I'm starting to do the live ones, which is tremendous, and I was honored by one of the Veterans Association in February of 2000, and this would have been 19 for Mar-a-Lago, Trump Robert. That was a black tie event for 1,200 veterans suffering from PTSD. Half of them were addicted to opiates and physical injuries. And we're going to talk about mesmerizing. I mean, my thing, and to this day, a few of the vets, I got them into treatment. They still keep in touch. It was, it's like I said, it's just magical. It really is. And it's not me when I'm up there, because I tell people, magic is motivation. I see what my guys do. It's mind blowing. Dr. Drew's a dear friend. He goes, he goes, Darren, you're inspiration. Very big difference. You're really just going into your deepest, darkest, talking about it so honestly and raw and authentic in order to help other people.
Yeah.
So, like,
That's awesome.
it's when I'm up there, I don't even know 90% of the time how it's coming out. I just know I get myself into the mindset.
Yeah.
No matter what drama could be going on, if it's a great day, if it's a bad day, if it's a day like lasagna, which I like to keep light, that's good. But I just, something just happens. And like I said, I'm like the God of my understanding. And really magical.
That's awesome.
Just an unexplainable feeling, especially with the teens.
Yeah.
The teenagers are my favorite because
I know.
I had to tell them, you gotta, I used to sit in those seats and listen to people like me, the exact things I'm going to tell you, and say that would never happen to me, but it's exactly what happened.
Yep. That's awesome. Wow. So thinking about, people and what is like, and it's kind of a loaded question. What's one piece of advice? If you have one piece of advice for everybody, whether it be teenager or adult, what's one piece of advice you'd give people to be successful?
To be successful, I think, first off, surround yourself with more successful people that are already where you're trying to get to. Don't listen to friends and family because they think they know what's best for you.
So
and
true.
They tell you from their heart. They might think what's best for them. They want best for you, and that doesn't always work. I was telling, one of my massage therapists came by last night. I was telling her, a young girl that's looking to build a business, and don't listen to your mother. The smartest thing you can do. Don't listen to your friends.
Yeah.
I've lived it. I know so many people at the highest level of success that say the same thing. Meanwhile, they care for you. They love you. If you want to start, whatever that type of business is, go on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Find somebody that's already at that level. Message them. You'll be really surprised about how many people would reach out and give you a few minutes because you'll learn from years of their mistake.
Right.
And you'll also save up work money from their mistake and you gravitate for success.
No, that's great. And that's the biggest thing too. Like when people come to me, I say the same thing. I'm like, I love the family, I love everybody, but they think they mean your best and they're trying to, but it's like, you can't listen to that because they're going to tell you all these things and it's going to stress you out. And that's the hardest thing is tuning that sort of family thing out and just like you said, find the successful person and mirror that and just talk to them. And that's what I've done is like, hey, just let me message somebody and see where it goes. And you're right. You'd be surprised. It's people out there want to help you.
Absolutely. I do it all the time when I get kids out of sports management programs or sports marketing. I mean, my office knows if a request comes in, I'll take a call. I mean, they might have to wait a week or two, but I make sure I do it every time.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next for you then? What's kind of next? You've done all this and where do you see yourself going in the next couple of years? More of the same, or are you looking to kind of just...
Yeah, I mean, at some point I could see the business, getting probably acquired, but I would still run it because I wouldn't want to jeopardize the culture. And I have my team of agents and amazing assistants and everybody that works for me. So I could see it going in that direction when I'm ready. But really everything is about the recovery, man. It's whatever I got to do to help the world of mental health and substance abuse. There'll be another book coming out, I'm sure. I'm going back and forth with the publisher. I met with her last week, 2 weeks ago for lunch, or last week. And but I mean, there's potentials for a documentary. I didn't think a movie would work because a movie's too hard to reenact all the celebrities. Documentaries would be real and raw. They could speak to school teachers, to all my clients that are alive today. Very important people in my life versus a movie. I'm like, I don't think that makes sense. It's with the big production companies now. It's a documentary. I said it's it'd be out there and impact people.
Yeah.
No matter where you get to in life, everybody puts success and money doesn't buy you happiness. I lived it out there. And money buys you temporary happiness. It buys you the ability to take care of people, a little bit of freedom.
Yep.
Choices with, finances, but it will not ultimately make you happy. Temporarily, yes, the happiness comes with it.
Yep. And you've done that. It's amazing. And I love watching over the last couple of years, really see, see your, your talks and stuff, and it really resonated with me a lot, and it kind of propelled me to just go for stuff too, because you're one of the people that I started watching a couple of years ago, and I was like, this is really good stuff. It's just to the point, and it resonates. And like you said, it's magic when you get up there on stage, you just speak, and when it comes from the heart and it's authentic and you're real, everything goes well.
Yep.
This has been awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate you, taking a good half hour out of your time to do this, and we'll put up links for your book and everything. And I appreciate you, man, and thank you so much for joining today.
And thanks for having me, man. Good luck with everything.
Yeah,
keep getting some great guests, much bigger than me. Go get some of the big names.
I know. I got to work it. I might be reaching out to you. Hulk Hogan's my idol, man. I'll tell you, he was like, my dad and I used to go to Rosemont Horizon in Chicago when we were in Chicago. Yeah, and we were ringside, like 3 rows back, and I'll never forget. He came up and did the whole thing, and the memory of that is still in my head. So
amazing. He's an amazing guy. Amazing.
Yeah, they all are. Yep. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Darren. Thank you so much. Yep. Have a great one, and thank you so much, Darren Prince, everybody.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
What did you think? I thought it was another awesome interview. I love Darren, how passionate he is about helping people. His work ethic, I think, is second to none. If you think about it, when Magic Johnson challenged him and said, look, use me as your first client, use me, but I'm going to fire you in less than 2 years if you don't get it together and get your agency going, what did he do? He outworked everybody, worked his ass off. And think about it, at the age of 14, he started that sports card agency, and he sold it by the age of 20 for $1 million. How many kids have done that? I mean, think about that. And we reminisced a little bit about being at the baseball card shows in the 1980s, what that was like. Very tough industry to be in. But if you noticed, his attention to detail as well is what I think makes him stand out. Because back in the 1980s, we were all focused on the new cards, like the Wade Boggs, the Ryan Sandbergs. For some of you who are young, those are like the popular stars of that time. And in his mind, he said, you know what? The vintage cards are where the money's at. The Mickey Mantles, all those types of cards. So he went down that path, and that's how he made his money. He paid attention to detail. And the dude is a hustler. He outworks everybody. I mean, you name it, you see him everywhere. He's flying here, there, everywhere. He's on stage. And it was really great to dig in about what happens to celebrities and people of his stature, where you get to the top, you get an addiction, and you have things happen to you and things fall apart. It's great to see him really thriving and being successful. So I'm very grateful to Darren for showing us what that was like to go through that opioid addiction, how he's recovered, and what he's doing to help other people. Truly remarkable story about his life and career, and talking about some of the things his dad talked to him about, and just really phenomenal to learn about how he took a chance with Magic Johnson. And then he just kept going. And we talked about the personalities of celebrities, how difficult that can be, but he just doesn't worry about what people say or do. And I think that's what a lot of you people do out there right now. You worry what people are going to say or think about you. Darren doesn't care about that. Not in a mean way, but Darren continues to work. And as he said at the end, ultimately, his clients are his customers. He has to deliver for them. So think about all those things that he said, because it's truly a lot of nuggets in here that I've learned from Darren. I mean, the fact that the guy is where he's at, what he's been through, and he is still hustling and still outworking the shit out of everybody. So Darren, thank you so much for sharing your story on the Career and Life Show. Love you, truly appreciate what you brought to the table. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.